G'day, today we're going to do the Dash Off-Road false floor install. I haven't even had a look at it yet and tempted, I've just unpacked it. So here's the Dash Off-Road floor. Comes with no instructions. So I thought I'd do a video and just see how we go. Go ahead and rip out the rear here first. See how all that goes. And then we'll bolt half of that floor together and see how that goes. So let's get to it. So to take your rear access hatch out, looks like it's a 12mm socket. Just keep all your bolts together. If you ever want to put it back in, you know where it all goes. Not sure if we need them to put everything back in this frame. All this stuff, there's no instructions, so we'll just pull it apart and see how we go. I'm tipping that all this stuff comes out. I'll grab a screwdriver. Alright, that's the rear pulled out. Alright, so I'll just show you these couple of bolts. Right, so they're the two bolts there I've just pulled out. Now, if you open up the back flap, looks like we've got to pull out one there, which is this one, and the rail runs through, and the other one's on the other side, which takes out that section, and in turn looks like it starts taking out the seat. So it's a 5/8 to get this hatch out, by the looks of it. Does feel like something's holding it here in the center. Right, so it looks like you've got to take these off to get this back section out. There's one. Just put everything back the way it sort of comes out. Do the other side. Yeah, just grab a little screwdriver, pry that open. Pick that up. You'll need a 10mm socket, which is probably the only one missing out of your toolkit, or it'll be a 13. Alright, so that comes straight out. Alright, now you're sort of left with the middle plate here. I'll just put the screws back in here and see how these seats come out. So we've already taken these ones out, which are for that plate. Looks like we got another, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to take out, and the seat belt holder. This one looks like it can stay attached, it's part of the bracket. And the seat belt can stay on the bracket. Alright, so that looks like it's a 5/16 to take out all the seat bolts. Right, seat belt is a 14mm. Taking out all the bolts for the seats. I'm gonna do these legs. So they just pop off. Oh, there's a moth. Alright, so we've got these bolts here across the front also, which need to go before we can actually rip the seats out. And I might disconnect the bolt at the seat belt bolt as well, just so I can get them out individually. I think that's best. So once again, using the 5/8 to get all the bolts out. Now I do believe that you use these bolt holes to bolt the false floor in. Just from what I've read. So we'll keep all this stuff aside. These bolts can stay in. I'm just going to tighten them up. so just looking at it, everything sits nice and flush. There's a couple of bolts to go in at the top there to put it together, and a bolt and a bracket there which go to the original floor points as said before. So they're the front of the third row C bolt points that we took out last. Right, so I've just noticed there's these couple, you can't really see them, but there's a couple of holes here which line up with those bolts that I just put back in. So now I've got to take them back out so they will line up. Now these black ones here in the dash kit look like they fit the same thread. So they're the bolts to bolt all your floors together, your 2 floors or 3 floors, and also across the back. So we're going to start bolting all these in. Right, you need a 4mm Allen key to do all these up as well. I'm not going to do them too tight for now, just leave them loose-ish. Make sure everything goes in smooth. Right, I'm going to place the other floor in now to see how it all sits. Alright, so I was just looking at the false floor here, and I didn't like how this was sort of moving up and down. And then I remembered from David Dash saying that you've got to put these brackets underneath. So I'm going to rip these bolts back out, put the brackets underneath, front and back, and then bolt the bolts back in to the front floor here. So just remember to, if you're using the whole false floor, put the brackets in first. You can't put them in one piece at a time as such. You need to put it together, then slide it in all as one piece. Alright, so I've just put the brackets in. I'll show you here. So just make sure you have a nice flat surface to screw it all together. Line everything up nice. Now we'll bolt it all back. Alright, so I've just test fitted the first couple of brackets in there. What I have noticed is there's 2 different brackets. I'll show you these. There's one with 2 holes and one with 1 hole. Looks like the 1 hole one goes to the outside of the vehicle, and the one with the 2 holes is for these 2 shorter ones, which is on the inside of the vehicle. So the 2 rails next to each other, they look like they line up quite well as per that. See that? That's this 2-hole one. And that's the 1-hole one. This one here on the bottom there has been drilled out the wrong size, so I've just got to modify that. But other than that, all the holes line up, the bolts do up well. You do reuse your bolts from taking out the seat, so keep those handy and do them all up tight. Alright, Dash Off-Road false floor install is complete. Overall, very happy with it. Just some little things to add notes. When installing the dash floor, you need to install this section here first. There's 3 bolts that bolt down to existing fixing points. 1, 2, 3. If you're installing the main 2 sections of the false floor, you need to bolt it together first, front and back, as we've shown you, and then slide the floor in, and then connects to the front section of the floor via 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts. That connects the 2 floors together, and the front section is bolted down. Come around the back here, and like we said, there's 2 different size brackets, and they bolt in through there. So I left them loose, put everything in loose, make sure everything matches up, and then basically I tightened the side ones first on the front wood, and then bolted it down and just tightened the back one. So everything went in pretty well. Pretty happy with it overall. Everything seems to sit nice and flush. A nice little gap there for the seats. Now these are all our bits and pieces that are left over from the car. Now, for those that are interested, and one of the main reasons that most of us do this is because we don't want it, and weight savings. Now, I weighed everything before I put it in, and as I've taken it all out, so I got that the floor weighed 17.9 kilos. That's just the floor as you see it there. That's nuts, bolts, the couple of floor panels. So now, as I've taken it out, I have weighed the rear seat. So the double seat weighs 22 kilos and the single seat weighs 16.6. So in a nutshell, it's basically a weight saving of 20.7 kilos once you put the false floor back in the car and you take out the seats. So that's not including all those little bits and pieces there. So you can probably save another 2 or 3 kilos here or there. Maybe a little bit more, I guess, probably maybe 3 or 4 kilos. So it's probably around the 20, so it's 20.7 with just the seats taken out in the weight savings. But with the floor, like I said, the other bits and pieces, as you see there, is probably another couple of kilos, I guess. So anywhere 23 kilo weight savings. So every bit helps, and it'll help us for our trip around Oz at the end of April, our half lap. So if you want to come join us, traveling for adventure, and see how we go around Northern Territory, South Australia and Western Australia. Thanks for my little install video. If you like it, thanks. Bye.